Good morning. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. You're looking live there, of course, at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Thanks so much for waking up with us, especially those of you on the West Coast out there. Only 6:16 in the morning, where another day of the Southern California area, of course, Los Angeles, dealing with a lot of those rioters there. It's really not a protest anymore. It really wasn't at all in the first place. I mean, we saw what happened 5 days ago now. They simply got in the way of ICE and what ICE was doing, and that's what set this all off. Even though you're going to see a post from Stephen Miller in just a minute, just showing the details about what happened, as Gavin Newsom has called the problem towards President Trump and the administration. Wait till you see what Stephen Miller posted on X about that. We'll get to that in just a minute. So 10 this morning, we're looking at the start time from what we can tell from our vantage point for this Department of Defense oversight hearing. So Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, will be there on Capitol Hill, and we'll have this for you in its entirety. That's coming up on Right Side Broadcasting Network. So let's go over some of today's programming schedule. As you know, I really should have drank some coffee this morning. It's 9:17 East Coast time here in the Central Time Zone, 8:17. But you know what? We got to keep cranking because we have a lot to cover today. At 2:40, the president observes a military demonstration at Fort Bragg. At 4 o'clock, the president will deliver remarks at Fort Bragg there in North Carolina. You can catch live coverage right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network with Robert McNeely. That starts at 2 o'clock Eastern. So at 2 o'clock Eastern, we'll have live coverage later today. President Trump already talking about it on his Truth Social account there, and we'll get to some of his posts in just a minute. Speaking of posts, why don't we go to Stephen Miller right off the top here and just read over what he said on X. So I'm going to go to that real quick on my laptop here as you guys get ready to, if you'd like to check it out yourself as well. So Stephen Miller saying the following to Gavin Newsom. As you see, a long post there. Let me get to it right here. Stephen Miller on the fly right here with you. Getting a little closer there with it. And then I'll read that for you. All right. So the governor, of course, of California always has been coming against the administration for all of this happening. But Stephen Miller had a lot to say about that as I'm pulling up that content right now. Here it is. So Gavin Newsom said, quote, "Do your job. We didn't have a problem until Trump got involved." That's from the governor of California. And then this is what Stephen Miller said. "Didn't have a problem," in quotes, quoting the governor. "Your state is a criminal sanctuary for millions of illegal alien invaders, cartel killers, foreign terrorists, transnational gangs, and insurrectionist mobs. Huge swaths of the city where I was born now resemble failed third world nations. A ruptured, balkanized society of strangers. When our courageous ICE officers fighting to rescue your communities came under violent organized attack, you and the LA mayor left them unforgivably to fend for themselves. When the rioters swarmed, you handed over your streets willingly. You still refused to arrest and prosecute the arsonists, seditionists, and insurrectionists. This administration is fighting to save the city and the citizens you have left to struggle and suffer." So that's from Stephen Miller. Of course, always a mic drop from Stephen Miller. And this is not to compare ever to what the mainstream media tried to call J6. We know what happened there. It definitely was not an insurrection. That's just a lie from the left. Now this, what we're seeing with people actually doing things like Antifa did on J6, and then other groups are doing the same thing out in LA. It's this woke mind virus that unfortunately is just really producing bad results. So now law and order is coming back, and thanks be to God for that. Thanks be to God for President Trump and the DOD, and also, you know, of course, the National Guard there, Customs Border Protection, everybody involved to take care of business in Southern California. All right, let's go to one of our great sponsors, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You see the information right there on your screen. President Trump, of course, just recently signed that new executive order to lower prescription drug prices. a major step in the right direction, but All Family Pharmacy, they're not waiting around, of course. Right now, they're giving you 20% off through June 30th, so Americans can start saving right away. They offer more than 200 essential medications, including hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, methylene blue, antibiotics, and even your daily prescriptions, all with a doctor's prescription included. So you don't need insurance, there's no waiting room, just fast, reliable access to the medications every household should have stocked. So All Family Pharmacy works with licensed doctors, ships them directly, the drug prescriptions to your door. And if drug prices are finally coming down, this pharmacy is already leading the charge in helping people stay prepared. So allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, a great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network at 9:22 this morning. All right, so Pete Hegseth, the DOD Secretary, will be on Capitol Hill there for that oversight hearing. So we'll hear directly from the top person at the Pentagon there on Capitol Hill. Later at the White House, the president actually will be on his way to North Carolina today, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Great speech coming up, great participation that we're going to see with the president. We're told that he'll observe a military demonstration at 2:40 Eastern time. So that means at 2 o'clock today, 2 Eastern, right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, Robert McNeely will host this coverage for Fort Bragg, North Carolina. It's going to be great to see the military demonstration. A little bit of whetting the appetite for what we're about to see on Saturday in Washington. Robert will be also going to D.C. for that coverage. So looking forward to seeing that coverage on Saturday, June 14th, right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Also, the president will speak at 4 o'clock today, too. So he'll observe the military demonstration at 2:40. Then at 4, he'll deliver the remarks at Fort Bragg. So looking forward to having you join us on that later live stream here at Right Side. If there's any live breaking news after this oversight hearing and before that 2 o'clock coverage, we'll bring it to you right here. You know, I was thinking about President Trump this morning, and I was thinking, it would be a great time, and this is just my opinion. It might be not the right opinion, but it's mine, so I'm free to share it, right? But it would be great to see if the president would do one of those Oval Office addresses to the country and just really set the record straight. We already heard what he wants to do, and he's doing great things, but just to really be like, hey, this is what happened. Our ICE agents were following their orders to do a deportation operation, something that we the people voted for, and the protesters interfered. And that's what really set this all off. And then maybe to talk about the big, beautiful bill and that kind of thing. Now, am I telling the president how to do his job? Heck no. Who am I, right? But I'm just thinking it would be great just from my perspective. I'm a citizen of the country as well. What I'd like to see is that. But still, we'll hear from him during the remarks at the speech in North Carolina today. So I'm sure he's going to have plenty to say during that speech. But it'd be interesting to see one of those Oval Office addresses, you know, one of those live 9 p.m. primetime addresses from the president. I don't know. Just would be kind of cool. Always good to hear from President Trump. So looking forward to that today, later today in North Carolina. All right. So it sounds like, do we have our interview there, producer? No. Oh, okay. Okay, so why don't we do this? We may have an interview from the San Diego County Supervisor, Jim Desmond, who's joined us before on Right Side Broadcasting Network. He's going to come on and talk about the southern border and talk about the situation in Los Angeles. If he's unable to get to us this morning, we'll be able to get him on this week. We're already in contact with his people to get him back on to talk about what's going on north of San Diego there. In Los Angeles. So, of course, this is now day 5 of any of these riots that are going on there. Again, because it's what they're doing is against the law to interfere with ICE deportation operations. And then they continue the looting in Los Angeles. They continue to throw fireworks that, yes, fireworks explode, but there are some that explode in a way that will be able to actually hurt or injure or worse our law enforcement. So this is a scene that the National Guard and the LAPD and others there, now the Marines as well, will be taken care of. So hopefully that'll be taken care of here shortly. All right, so again, 9:25 this morning. All right, so, you know, we've heard about Throwback Thursday, of course, as we await Pete Hegseth. I believe this hearing will start It was originally scheduled for 4 minutes from now. It may have been pushed to 10, so that's all right. We'll hang tight here and talk about the news of the day. But we've heard about Throwback Thursday, right? We've heard about Way Back Wednesday. Well, what about Toss Back Tuesday? All right, so today's Tuesday. Let's go to it. Let's go to a video from November of 2022. President Trump at a rally in Miami. It was storming out there, and the president kept on keeping on. Check it out.
2 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again.
It's always fun to relive some of those moments. That was from November 2022. If you remember in Miami, a huge storm came through. He kept delivering that speech, and it was just a powerful, powerful moment. So Toss Back Tuesday, kind of fun. I haven't done that one. We've done Way Back Wednesday and Throwback Thursday. Kind of fun to do some of that old school social media stuff. But again, what we're hearing now is that the 10 a.m. is now being pushed to or brought back to the 9:30 a.m. So it looks like in 3 minutes from now, we will be going to Capitol Hill to hear from the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. So as soon as that happens, we'll take you there live. This is again on Capitol Hill for an oversight hearing with the Department of Defense. So it'll be interesting to hear about what's going to happen today. Of course, we'll report that news here shortly. Also, a shout out to our RSBN staff and contractor writers that write all these great articles on Right Side that are reposted by the most famous person on earth. So President Trump reposting a number of articles from Right Side Broadcasting Network the other day, along with other media out there, but still great to see that here from a network that started out as a grassroots organization, and it still is grassroots, right? This is still from the beginning of a family seeing a great opportunity, but more importantly, to just show the crowds and show President Trump's speeches back in 2015 when network news just wouldn't. They don't want to show how massive this was growing into being. And so, yeah, so it's great to see that happen there as we get ready to cover this event. And then later today at 2 o'clock Eastern, we will be live right here at Right Side. Robert McNeely right here in studio for the coverage as we will watch President Trump in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. He'll be participating and observing a military demonstration at about 2:40, and then he'll speak around 4 o'clock. So a lot of great coverage coming up later today as well. Producer, can you please repeat? All right, let's go to Colonial Metals, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Wearing the gold tie today, so that kind of works out. freegoldguide.com/RSBN. So if you're looking for gold and silver to be the backup to maybe your savings or retirement or a 401k or a tax-sheltered IRA, all 100% tax-free, this is the place for you. And it's good to have that financial peace of mind as well. You know, even as Maganomics increases and inflation drops and jobs increase and all these, if the big beautiful bill passes, which it's on its way hopefully through the Senate, right? You know, no tax on overtime, all these different things. This is something to kind of say, you know what, let me give this a shot here too. freegoldguide.com/RSBN, Colonial Metals Group, a great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. And speaking of finances and the economy, yes, balancing the budget, we have to do it. We don't want a financial collapse ever. But that's one thing that we've heard that the administration is working on. They're going to be balancing the budget as well. They want that to be taken care of. On top of that, though, within the big, beautiful bill, all of those things are all to do with the America First agenda. Everything that President Trump said on the campaign trail, all these promises, which are being fulfilled to this day and will be fulfilled, I believe, over the next 3 years plus, are dealing with the border, dealing with the manufacturing in America. I mean, even outside of that, defending our Constitution. I was thinking about the 20 core promises yesterday. I was like, well, which ones are my favorite ones? And really, number 7 and number 9 are my favorite out of 20. Now, yes, I have to be a political nerd at this point to be thinking about these things when I'm not working, but it's true. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, you think about President Trump, he's saying, he's tossing and turning at night thinking about, well, what can I do with this or what can I do with that? And, you know, sometimes, you know, when you're driven and you want the best of outcomes, sometimes it takes more than just being at work to do that. You know, there's a lot of inner work that can be done as well. So anyway, 20 promises to the American people. Number 7 is defend our Constitution. We'll go to this first right now.